The implosion of the bloodline has begun. Welcome back to Wrestling with Horror. My name is Andrew Dreamer. As always, I'm here to talk about professional wrestling. I'm here to talk about horror movies and look at all the ways that they intersect, connect, and everything in between. We have just finished Night of Champions, and I wanted to get this reaction video shot as soon as I possibly could after the show because I have a lot of feelings about what happened today. Obviously, the biggest story coming out of Night of Champions is going to be the Bloodline. The main event of Night of Champions saw Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa taking on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. We got our kind of one of those ref bumps that you knew was going to come, and of course that led to the Usos interfering in the match. Roman Reigns didn't really appreciate this once they accidentally super kicked Solo in the face. So Roman starts pushing him around, and then out of nowhere, Jimmy finally snaps and super kicks Roman in the face. And then Jay is kind of like, "Why? What are you doing? Why would you do that?" And then Jimmy keeps going with the, I'm doing this for us. I got to do this. I'm doing what you should have done a long time ago. And then he kicks him again. This sends Roman out of the ring. Jay finally gets Jimmy to leave, and then that opens up Solo to be stunned, and then he gets hit with the haluva kick, and that's the end of the match after another referee finally comes in. But the biggest thing out of this is that the bloodline is falling apart. The Usos are now probably completely split from the bloodline. Jay is still kind of on the fence with it, but Jimmy has completely sealed his face, so who knows what Roman's going to do come SmackDown. SmackDown's supposed to be the celebration of his 1,000 days as undisputed champion, although I don't think he's going to really get to celebrate because there's going to be so much on his mind with Jimmy and Jay and losing this match. He's probably going to get mad at Solo too for getting pinned, and who knows what's going to happen with all this. I'm really excited to see what happens come Friday night. I'll be keeping an eye on it, so we'll see what happens there. On the other hand, our second of the three main events of this premium live event was Cody Rhodes taking on Brock Lesnar. Cody Rhodes did not win this match, although he did not submit. He got locked in a Kimura a few different times, and finally he just couldn't take it anymore, and he passed out. And the commentators made a note to point out that this has evened up the score in their feud. That leads me to believe that we're going to get another match between the three, a rubber match, probably taking place in July at Money in the Bank. Now, my thoughts on this are, if we're doing this, that probably means that Cody's not going to be in the Money in the Bank match, which probably means that he's not going to be facing Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, and I don't know where we're going with Cody Rhodes at this point. So we'll just see what happens come Monday night on Raw. I'm sure they got a plan, but I for the life of me, I can't figure out what it could be right now. But I would be shocked if we don't get a third match between Cody and Brock where you throw in some stipulation or something to just kind of up the ante there. Now, our third of the main events, which actually opened the show, was Seth Rollins taking on AJ Styles in a match that we all knew was going to be a banger, and it was a banger. Now, Seth Rollins walked away with the win here, but there was a lot of good storytelling here. There was a moment where Seth did a suicide dive out to the ringside, and he tweaked his knee. You could see it, the way he landed, his knee kind of hyperextended a little bit, and that played into the rest of the match. AJ kept targeting it, going for the calf crusher and over, and they really worked that to where you thought maybe Seth has actually hurt himself a little bit here. But he finally he overcame it all. He hit a pedigree, he hit a stomp, and he got the 1, 2, 3, and he is the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And I think that this is the perfect superstar to put in that spotlight right now. Seth Rollins deserves it. He is extremely over with the crowd. They love singing along with him as he's coming out. His costumes and his gear, it's always over the top and extravagant. To the point where it even looks a little ridiculous, but he puts so much enthusiasm into the character and his work going into the match or just walking to the ring that it somehow works for him. There's not a lot of people that could pull that off, but he does. So that being said, I think that this was the right choice here. I'm a huge AJ Styles fan. Definitely one of my top 5 favorite of all time. but Seth Rollins was the right choice to be the winner here. The rest of the show was also filled with some pretty good matches, but I wanted to kind of focus in on the 3 main events here because that's where all of our major storylines. I'm not discrediting any of the other stuff, but I just wanted to focus on those 3 matches. I'm really excited to see what happens with the Bloodline. We're all ridiculously invested into this storyline. It's been going for years now, and it's finally we're getting to that point where some major things are happening. Roman is, I don't know if scared's the right word, but he kind of seems scared. He's like being overconfident to seemingly cover for that fear that he is now kind of showing. His little bump into Solo a couple weeks ago, that was the first hint of fear that we had seen on Roman in years. Solo seems kind of frustrated with Roman. The Usos clearly are. If Roman is frustrated with them, Roman seems frustrated with Solo as well. He seems frustrated with everybody. He doesn't trust anybody but himself. And unfortunately, he can't do it all by himself. He has to have the Bloodline with him. They've bailed him out so many times. And when the Bloodline finally is no longer by his side or behind him, that's when Roman Reigns will be dethroned as champion. But until that fully takes place, we're not going to see Roman lose those belts. That's my thoughts. Could that happen by SummerSlam? Yes, it absolutely could. Could it be one of the Usos that take it from him? Yeah, there's a good possibility of that. Would I hate that? No, I think that would be a good chance. I think that's something amazing to put one of those titles or both of those titles on an Uso. Maybe you give one title to each of them and let them, run around with those for a while. I think that's an interesting idea. It could happen. It could work. Overall, I think Night of Champions was a really good show. There were a few moments where I was kind of, not really into it as much. But for the most part, the 3 main events really held my attention. They kept me captivated. We had Seth Rollins walking out as champion, Brock Lesnar defeating Cody Rhodes by making him pass out, and we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn retaining the tag team championships by pinning Solo Sikoa after Jimmy Uso super kicked Roman Reigns twice. We'll see what happens come Monday and come Friday. But until next time, let me know what you think down in the comments. What did you think about this premium live event? I'm really anxious to hear what you all thought about the ending of this show. But until next time, my name is Andrew Dreamer, and I will see you next time on Wrestling with Horror.